Hey everybody. Alright, to begin, let's go ahead and open up a Google browser and do a search for Unity Personal. This way we'll be able to download our Unity program. So once you find it, go ahead and click on Try Personal. As you can see, this is a free version of Unity that doesn't include any support and different things. So you need to accept the terms. And then what we need to do is click on Download Unity Hub, because this is going to allow us to use an older version of Unity, which is really important for our Altspace uploads. This is what it's going to look like when you are installing. You'll go to Installs after you've ran that program you've downloaded, and go to the Official Releases section. And once you're on there, you'll be able to find our version, which is 2018.1.9 F2 Preferred, and then click Download. This will allow us to basically upload to Altspace with the correct version of Unity. So now that we have that installed, we're going to open up a Google browser again and just type in Unity. And this is where we're going to go ahead and create an account. This is important so that we can manage our assets from the Asset Store. You can find that at the top right-hand corner by clicking on Create a Unity ID. So once you've done that, go ahead and launch your Unity program. And this is what you'll see when you first get there if you have any Unity projects. But if you don't, click on the New button, or even just for the purposes of this tutorial, click on New. Give your project a name. You want template 3D. You'll give it a location of where you want to save your project. It's nice to put it on in a location that you'll always be able to remember. Put all your projects in the same place. It's just nice that way. And then you just click on Create Project. So this is my Unity loading up everything it needs to in order for me to start working on it. A little bit here. Okay, so this is your first look at Unity. So we have our asset store that loads right away, but what we want is the scene up there at the top. This is our overall view of what's happening in Unity. Down here at the bottom left is where you can find the assets that you have to work with in your scene. And above is everything that is in the scene once you've put your assets into that scene. This is where you can find your camera. This gives you a nice preview of what's going on. You've got your lights. I'm not going to really go into cameras and lights very much. With the camera, you can move the camera so that it will show you a preview inside the game. But for general purposes, it's just nice to be able to see what people are going to experience in the game itself. And this is the preview here down at the bottom right. You can click on Game to get a bigger preview of that. So in the next part here, I'm going to show you how to insert your assets into your scene. We can go to the Asset Store and we can go find something that we want to work with, like, let's say, trees. You can click on Asset Store up there at the top and type in trees, and download anything here that you would like to. But Unity also is very powerful because it comes with a set of tools called the sample assets, and we can download an environment set of tools that will give us some really nice trees and grass and different things that we need for our scene. So to access these assets, you just need to come up here to the File menu and click on Assets, and then Import Package and Environment. That's what we're looking for here. Now it's going to take a while to import, and that's what we're going to sit here and wait for. It doesn't take too long because it's not that big of a package, but we do need to wait for it. When it pops up and asks you if you want all the assets, just say yes. All is fine. Or if there's things you don't really need, you can cut down on the file size and your upload size and just click on Import. After that's finished importing, we will go back to Unity and we'll be able to see everything available. It does take a little bit of time for that import, so just hold on a moment. Alright, so now we have our standard assets. So let's go ahead and expand the triangle menu next to assets and expand the one under standard assets, expand environment, and what I like to use is under surface textures. You'll find this under terrain assets, surface textures. This gives us a real nice collection of different things that we can put on our terrain or our objects that we create. So to create one of these, we're going to go ahead and go up to Unity at the top left-hand corner underneath directional light, right-click this area and click on 3D object, and let's just work with a cube for now. So go ahead and select cube. And this puts a cube up in our viewer right here. Now if we want to go ahead and drag a texture onto it, we can. It's just as simple as that. Pop. Now our cube has texture. We could upload this to Altspace and it would be ready to go, like instantly. And I think that's just really cool. Well, so now this cube is in our scene and we can work with it with our other elements. We've got our camera again, of course. We can move the camera so that it will be looking at the scene that we want. And the way we do that is click on the camera itself, click on Game Object at the top, and select Align with View. If you align it with the view, then you're able to see it straight on from your viewpoint. This is really helpful with setting up your scene and just knowing what people are going to see inside the game. But anyways, let's go ahead and get rid of that cube. We're going to work with terrain now. So let's right click on the area under directional light again and choose 3D object, and this time we're going to select terrain. I want to show you that it's not like the cube. You're not going to be able to drag a texture to it. Terrain works in a different way. You'll see after you've clicked on terrain on the right hand side, you've got all of these different settings over here. All these different buttons under the terrain section. If you click on the cog wheel, we can adjust the terrain width and the length, which is really nice. I like to use maps of, say, 250 for Altspace. I mean, it's completely up to you. You're just going to want to test it out and see what you like the most. And then the other things that we have in here is the ability to paint the texture, and that's where we want to get the grass look on here. So to do this, click on Paint Textures, and you'll see on Edit Textures, you want to click this, and over here on this dialog box that pops up, you're going to click Add Texture and drag the texture into the first box on the left so that it knows what to use. After it does that, it automatically applies it to your plane, and it already looks like it could be something we could walk around in Altspace. It's already that powerful. So the other tools that we have here is under Edit Textures, we can add some more variety to our textures. You see I've added a couple other ones, the sand and the cliff, and all of these different textures can be used at different times to add more life to your scene. But to add even more life to the scene, let's go ahead and try and create some mountains and valleys and things. So under the raise and lower terrain tool that I just clicked there, you can select a brush, and I like to have a really large brush. As you can see, even with a 250 by 250 grid, this brush seems small. It is the biggest we can get, so we're going to just drag our brush right along this canvas, and as you can see, it's just raising the height wherever it touches. Sometimes it can be a little bit rough, so you'll want to go ahead and click on the button next to raise and lower terrain that says smooth height. And if you just go over your edges, you can see that it nicely smooths it out and makes the curves a lot less sharp, more natural looking, depending on the scene. I mean, that's up to you. All of this is on your own. You get to decide how it looks. And you can go ahead and change the height a little bit too if you want to. These are just all different tools in the arsenal of building this terrain, which this gives your scene a dynamic awesomeness to it that's yours personally, instead of just using prefabs out there. You can also come back on here under paint texture and select other textures, and maybe give the mountains a different texture, maybe give some of the cliff faces a little bit different. It's just completely up to you. You are in charge of how this looks. I like to put sand down here at the base of the mountains. It looks pretty nice. So this is giving us a nice land for our characters to go into in Altspace. If you click on the camera again, you can go back up to align camera view one more time and look dead on at the scene and see what people would be seeing in Altspace. Again, that's just a really nice preview that's available to you. So now that we have our terrain, let's decorate it. I think that some trees would be in order for this area. So back on the terrain, we're going to go ahead and click on this Paint Trees button. It doesn't come with trees automatically, but we've already loaded up the environment assets. So let's go to Edit Trees and go ahead and, do you see this little circle here that says that you can basically click a drop-down list? This is where we can find the trees that are available to us. So go ahead and scroll through here, and here's one. And let's go ahead and add the other one that we saw in there too. So Edit Trees and click the drop-down list one more time and select the next one. So now we've got some trees we can work with. Go ahead and select one of your trees, and the important things to note here are the brush size, tree density, and heights. Brush size is the area in which you're going to be placing your trees. So I kind of make it small so I can really get in there and decide what I want to do. The tree density is how many trees will be placed in that brush stroke. So you're going to want to make that pretty small because you don't want it. I mean, it can get really, really crowded with trees, trust me. You can change the height so that you're making sure that they're not all the same height. You've got your slider bars for the left and right, so you can make it so that at least that there will be this short and this tall as well. And as I placed that there, you can see that there was a big variety of trees, but they were pretty dense. So I'm going to bring this density way down. And now when I place it, there's a lot less out there in my brush stroke. And for a little bit more variety, you can bring this down and just kind of pop the trees in there with, instead of a stroke, just click. You can just keep playing with that brush size. But see, as you can see, clicking works a little bit more randomly. I've found that I like clicking better. And you can adjust the height on the fly if you want to with these clicks. And if you ever find anything that you don't like, just hold Control and click again, and it will make that tree disappear, that particular tree you're on. You might want to reduce your brush size in order to be able to select something specific, or I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Just gonna place a few more trees, but like if I want to get rid of that tree, just hold Control and click the tree and it just disappears. Alright. I'm going to get rid of this one too. So we've got a pretty nice covering of trees now, I think. And this will be a real nice view. Again, in Altspace, click your camera and go to your menu and align it with the view. And then go to Game. You can see what it would look like if you were standing right there. Really pretty. So that's a scene with some trees and a nice painted texture. Alright, so the other thing that I wanted to show you is, just in case you wanted to bring in things from the asset store, you can go to the asset store and type it in. Let's just go with the trees one more time. And select a specific set of trees that you like. Low poly trees are nice. You can also click on price up here and use the slider so it says 0 to 0. This way you are only seeing free assets. Also, I like to go on to type and choose assets only, otherwise you're going to see people's like wish lists and things. But now this is a good sampling of the free trees that are available. Lots of different choices. Oh, look at, there's some Christmas things, some logs. It's phenomenal the amount of resources that are actually available there for everybody for free. Let's find this nice free trees section. I like that Christmas tree type thing. So we'll download it and then we're going to click import. It'll take a little bit of time, but eventually down at the bottom left you'll suddenly see an asset pop up, and this time it's looks like it's Darth Artisan. So those are the ones that we're working with. So let's go ahead and collapse the other ones so that they're not in the way anymore. Then let's expand Darth Artisan in the free trees. And what we're looking for here is, you'll see that there's the meshes, and you'll see that there's the prefabs. You can also load their scene demos, which I can get into later on, and some textures. But what I actually use is the prefab section. And what you do is you just click and drag out what you want, pop, it's in there. It was that simple. And now we have that tree in our scene. Very cool. And just go ahead and put another tree in there. You can resize the tree if you want to scale. If you look on the right hand side under this inspector, you can go 0.5, 0.5, 0.5 to change it to half of its size. That's completely up to you. I mean, you're designing your scene, just showing you the different tools that you have available to you. And speaking of the tools that you have available to you, the very top left hand corner you see this is your hand tool, and this lets you pan around the whole scene by just holding down the left mouse button. Next to it is the move tool, which gives you little handles that you can move things up and down, left and right. Next is the rotate tool. As you can see, I'm using that right there. It's just all dragging the left mouse button on the tools once they pop up. We've got our scaling tool right next to it, which allows you to go ahead and resize everything. So just hold down in the square in the middle and move outwards and inwards to make things bigger and smaller. We also have the rectangle tool, which is really nice. If you have a few different things in your scene, you can just drag over all of them. And as you do that, it selects them for you, so you can do things all at the same time. You do need to make sure you pick up all of the vertices. There we go. Now I have both of them. So now that they're both selected, I can go to my scale tool and scale them all at the same time. Very helpful, so you don't have to do everything individually all the time. But the hand tool is my favorite. I use that a lot. That one and the move tool as well. So now we want to go ahead and upload a scene to Altspace, and I'm going to make this a little easier. I'm just going to go working with the cube again, just in the interest of time and everything. So let me load that back up here. So in Slack, Jimmy gave us a URL for the downloader for the uploader, the download file for the uploader. So I'm going to paste the URL here in this picture. And you can also find this easily for copy paste in our Slack channel. But see, it's this permanent link up here. So I want you to go ahead and download that somewhere where you'll always be able to remember where it is. And then you'll just need to double click what you've downloaded and it will install it as a pack here in Altspace, an asset. So give it a little bit of time to install. That's why we're waiting here. Just finishing the install now. And ta-da, we have Altspace. So up here at the top, you'll find Altspace. So now you will see the Altspace Uploader dialog box pop up. And here we can insert our email address and password to get into Altspace in order to connect to Altspace to be able to upload things. So let me go ahead and log in over here. Just one sec. Again, this is your Altspace login. You do need it in order to connect to Altspace to be able to upload these things. And then you'll see load your templates or create a new template. And to start out, we're going to go with create a new template. This is going to bring open our Altspace webpage and give you the ability to name it, give it a description, which is required. And also, it is very required to choose an image. You do have to have an image of some sort or it's going to fail. So go ahead and select an image on your computer of some sort. And then just click on Create a Template. And after it uploads image and gets this all ready, then we're going to go back up to the top under Worlds and Mine. Select your world that you have created, or feel free to create another world if you want to. That's just for your Unity world. That's up to you. Once you're in your world, you will see all of your scenes available and all of the different spaces you've created. You can use one of the spaces that you've already made or create a brand new space. That again is up to you. I'm just going to go ahead and work with my Captain Fayway's Ready Room. So I've clicked on that, and now I'm just going to click on Edit. In here, we'll be able to select the environment, which was that template that we just created. And then we need to choose an image as well for this space. So upload an image. Make sure you've got information in the info for the title and the description of the room once again. It's very important also to choose private. Private so that people are not able to go into the room and see what you're working on, since this is a kind of a closed beta type thing. You can whitelist people, however, in your settings, which is fine under advanced, so they will always be able to come in. And you can also give contextual roles. The pilot and the megaphone only. Allow them to fly and have loud audio no matter where they are in the scene. I always like to put that in most of my scenes. So once you're done with this, go ahead and click Save. And now you have edited your space, and the space is pointing to this template that you've created. And the template is where you're going to upload this cube in Altspace. So let's click Load the Templates, and once you have, you will see the template you just created. Select that template, and now you can choose if you want to upload this for PC and mobile at the same time, which is usually what you will do unless you work really hard to make completely different scenes for each one depending on load time. But that's up to you. I tend to just do both at once. Once I'm happy with this, I'm going to click Upload. Now that'll take a little bit of time to get to Altspace's servers depending on what you have. You can reduce the upload amount by deleting some of the assets that you're not going to use. If you come down and delete some of the grasses or trees that you didn't use or anything like that, it can really make things easier. So now let's hop into Altspace and let's go see our cube. So go to the menu, and under Worlds, you're going to find My Worlds, and scroll through the spaces. And for this one, I went ahead and put it in testing stuff. It's something I did behind the camera. I just, instead of Fayway's Ready Room, I didn't want to change that. But here we go. This is our cube, and it's here, and I'm on it. And it automatically came with a collider, so I am ready to go. It's just that easy. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It gave you some ideas of the different things that you can do and how easy it is to use Unity even if you've never even looked at it before. A couple other things to talk about would be some of the keystrokes and movement controls for Unity, because a little bit of it is different than other programs you may have used. So here's a list of the different keystrokes you can use to automatically toggle on some of those tools we were talking about, the move, rotate, scale, and rectangle. I like vertex snap as well, just hitting V. When you are clicking on one asset and you click on the other while you're holding V, it will snap it to one of the sides. And this is really nice if you're building with walls and floors and things like that. Just practice with that, play with it a little bit, and you'll see what I mean. So some of the other things that are important for you is to be able to move around your scene easily. So some of the mouse strokes that you have available to you is you can do different things to look and pan and scroll in. You can put your cursor in the middle and just drag with Alt and the left mouse button to be able to provide you with a nice little looking method. You can also press in your middle scroll wheel to pan around your scene. You can even scroll in on that scroll wheel to be able to zoom in closer and farther. I can do the panning again by just holding down the middle mouse wheel, or scroll on in, scroll on out. See, it's pretty powerful, so you can move around and get to see what you want to. And these different angles will let you know what things look like from different viewpoints. Well, I wanted to thank you for joining me on this tutorial. If you have any other ideas that make things easier for people, make sure to let me know. I'd love to make an updated version of this tutorial in the future. My ideas are just my own. They're things I discovered while watching hours and hours of other tutorials out there, and these are the few things that I found most relevant to Altspace and the kind of things that we want to do. Being able to create an environment, being able to bring assets in from the store, how to get those assets, and things like that. Anyways, once again, thank you again so much. I hope this helps you out. Feel free to message me any questions that you might have. I would be happy to help you out. This is Faye from Altspace, signing off. Thank you.